game. We've got the Packers with Micah Parsons. We've got Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. We have the two teams that got knocked out by the Eagles last year, lost in both the regular season and the postseason. Cynthia, here's what blew me away getting ready for this one today. And honestly, I had no idea. So the Packers have the youngest roster of the NFL. I think that was the case last year. Big deal. The Commanders have the oldest roster in the NFL. The oldest. They have what's the stat here about the Niners? The oldest average roster since the 97 Steve Mariucci coached 49ers in week 1. What?
Now, I knew they were the oldest. I did not know they were oldest since Mooch, you know?
There's a Mooch angle here.
Mooch.
I'm so glad Mooch made it into the show. He is the best. We love Mooch. It's funny because, I think that the Commanders having such an old roster will eventually come around to bite them a little bit, especially, as we see the attrition for injuries over the course of the season, which we see every season. But I think in this game could actually be an advantage for them. I know Micah Parsons was a big deal. I know against the Lions, it looked really good for the Packers in that defense, but Jaden Daniels' ability to scramble and his ability to change the game with his leg is a big difference between Jared Goff, who's a pocket passer, and this particular game on Thursday. So I'm curious to see how, does Deebo Samuel, who also knows how to dice up this defense, does he get past basically the secondary outside of Xavier McKinney is very targetable. So do we find an area where Deebo in space? Terry McLaurin was pretty quiet in week 1. Does Terry McLaurin maybe on the perimeter get some action? I think this is a closer game than people might expect. That number that says 3.5 down there, feels like 3 or 2 might be a better situation to think about and more fun for us to watch.
By the way, Andrew, real quick, I need to add on. You said it's the best. Lambeau Field is the best venue at night. It's also the best at Sunday at noon Central Time. It's the best at 3:25 on Sunday. It would be the best on Wednesday morning or Friday at 1 a.m.
Totally.
That's a Wisconsinite.
Please don't have us start playing games on Wednesday morning.
You know what? Actually, Frank, I am going to tip the cap to you and everyone in Wisconsin, despite the fact that I'm not a dairy person and I can't stand the fact that there's a sign every 50 feet on the highway for cheese curds. And beyond that, you have all these state roads, state routes that are named for letters, but they're not sequential. So like State Route J comes after State Route A, which makes no sense whatsoever, but I digress. Lambeau Field.
As a Midwesterner, I can tell you that's just how we do our alphabet.
That's
how
it
doesn't make sense.
We're goofy that way. We're goofy that way, Andrew. And yeah, it's too much spotted cow in Wisconsin.
Yankee
That's
Stadium
what happens. Yeah.
Is the Wrigley, it is the Palace.
Fenway,
if you have not been to Lambeau Field, sports fans,
totally.
Football fans, you need to make a pilgrimage. Just go. And when you walk in for the first time, it's kind of like Augusta or at Wimbledon, and I'm lucky to have gone to both of those. When you walk in for the first time, you look around, you're like, all right, I get it. This is amazing. And you're right, Frank, whether it's at 8 o'clock at night or at noon Central, so 7 o'clock at night or noon Central, it's the same. The floor
Absolutely, it is. It's beautiful. And it's weird that Green Bay, the Packers existing is a miracle. Go back and look at the history of the Green Bay Packers. There's if you've ever been to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I've been many, 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 many times, it is basically a really, really small town with one of the great sports venues kind of right in the middle of it. Back when I covered them a million years ago, it was like there was a Kmart and then there was a gas station with a Subway. Here's Lambeau Field. Here's a Pizza Hut. It's absolutely crazy how Green Bay, Wisconsin has an NFL team. I love it so much. Now let's talk about the game itself and not just gush about Lambeau Field. It is a bucket list item. Please go do that because it's awesome. But this game, I'm kind of against you, Cynthia. There might be a letdown for the Packers here. They put so much into that Lions game where, wow, we beat the Lions. Maybe a little bit of letdown 4 days later. But I'm kind of just having the angle of maybe we just saw the Super Bowl favorites play on Sunday. The way they dominated the Lions, and I'm not off the Lions bandwagon for the long term. I think the Lions are going to be a good team. I just think they ran up against a buzzsaw week 1. The Green Bay Packers are a really, really good football team. And until proven otherwise, Micah Parsons is going to keep getting more snaps as it goes. Maybe not on a Thursday night, but when Jordan Love has to throw more, he looked really efficient, looked surgical out there, just didn't need to throw a lot in the second half against the Lions because they've dominated them so much. I already had pegged the Commanders as a regression candidate. The fourth down stuff wasn't going to repeat. The Hail Marys and the overtime wins, all that stuff wasn't going to repeat. I think the Commanders are going to take a step back this year, and I think the Packers are full steam ahead. That was the best team I saw in week 1, and until I see differently, I'm going to continue to think that.
I mean, I don't disagree with you that they looked incredible in week 1. My hesitation lies in, well, number one, you heard it here first. I think Jeff Hafley will be a coach candidate come January. That's the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers.
And not just because he was the BC head coach.
No. No. Mostly because if you look at how those simulated pressures last year alone, when none of his guys were able to generate pressures for him, they did it the second highest rate, but it freaking worked. And they didn't have any guys who were really actually bringing the heat. They just scared people into thinking they were going to bring the heat. So I think Hafley's a name to watch on the coaching search, and we're starting it already now. But I'm looking at the offense, and I'm looking at what Jordan Love didn't have to do, and it was overcome any adversity. And I don't know what we're going to see with all of these different injuries. They keep having guys on their injury report. He threw a pass to 10 different pass catchers in that game. That could be difficult. That almost felt like you're showing off a little bit, right? Like, okay, we can throw anywhere we want to. But ultimately, what happens if the Commanders go down and score first? Now the Packers are in more obvious passing situations. I just want to see them, after having not had this preseason or as much time together in the before the season started, if the chemistry is still there, if they kind of get their mojo all together, or if it's just like you're going to throw to Tucker Kraft a bunch, or you're going to rely on the tight ends, because Matthew Golden, okay, whatever, but like I didn't see the adversity and the overcoming of the adversity, and I certainly, I didn't see a lot of adversity for the Commanders either, but I know the Commanders are at least a little feisty, and they're going to have Jaden Daniels run and use his legs.
What's scary for me is how much better, and yeah, I agree with you on Jeff Hafley as well, and he also was one of the first guys, joking about BC, Cynthia went to BC. He's one of the first guys who, as a college head coach, kind of said, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to deal with the transfer portal. I don't want to deal with having to re-recruit the guys that are already enrolled in school and on my roster after the spring game when they get a better offer to go somewhere else. I can't compete, even in the ACC, at a smaller school in terms of budget like BC. So I'm out. I'd rather be a DC in the NFL or any position coach in the NFL. He's a coordinator for a good team and a Super Bowl contender. And I agree with you. If he keeps his defense playing this way and the way it did last year, then yeah, he's going to be a head coach. What's scary to me is how much better this defense is going to be when Micah Parsons actually has a higher snap count. He was on the field for 29 snaps week number 1.
45%, 45% if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 25%. The Packers concede that right. he lobbied to be out there as much as he did. He was out there 44.6% of the snaps. He had 1 sack. He had 3 quarterback pressures. According to Next Gen Stats, he had a quarterback pressure on his very first snap on Jared Goff. He helped force a pick with that pressure. They're only going to get better. And yeah, it is scary, even for a mobile quarterback like Jaden Daniels. And they are the best team in the division right now. It was the best division in football a year ago. And I could say right now, they are the best team in that division, which is a week 1 overreaction. I realize once Christian Watson gets back on the offensive side, then that side of the ball gets even better. Josh Jacobs has a touchdown in like 10 straight games. I'm not saying they're a juggernaut, but Frank, Wisconsin guy, I'd feel good about him.
Yeah, trust me, I got a lot of friends from back home that are really, really excited about the Packers right now. Like I said, and maybe that's a 1 week thing where we look back and we were like, okay, the Packers are just good, not great, but I don't know. That looked like a great game to me. It really did. Like you said, Micah Parsons played 45% of the snaps. That's it. And he was beating Penei Sewell like a drum. Penei Sewell is one of the best players in the NFL, period. I've said this, not one of the best linemen in the NFL, one of the best players in the NFL. And Micah Parsons just took him to task in that game and said afterwards, buckle up because this is going to be a rivalry a long time. I love that, by the way. I think this Packers team has earned the benefit of the doubt going forward to be, okay, you are a Super Bowl contender. You're in that very, very small group of teams. There's not many. There's 6, 7 teams. The only thing, Cynthia, that I worry about is Jaden Daniels, because he is that dude. He really is. Like, it is always, as somebody who picks games and maybe bets on games once in a while, you hate to be on the other side of Jaden Daniels, because it is a nightmare for 60 minutes. He's already that guy in the NFL. He's the in the horror movie, he just won't die. He's the villain in that. He's so good. You hate going against him, especially in a primetime game.
I'm not saying that the Packers aren't a Super Bowl contender, but I am saying that if there's a team, at least early on in the tenure of Micah Parsons with the Green Bay Packers, the Commanders are used to playing him. It's not their first time seeing him. It's not even their second. It's a team that has familiarity with what he can do. I mean, that 20% pressure rate since entering the league, crazy. So I have like a Dan Quinn. If there's a guy who could have an answer, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury. Remember, in the beginning of seasons, Cliff Kingsbury is always electric with the game planning. We've seen all of those Cardinals games for many years. He can figure some stuff out, especially early in the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and they just Jaden Daniels could, whatever the rushing number is, which I don't know what that means because I work for the NFL, so I certainly would never bet on anything. But whatever that rushing number is, you might want to consider more than it.
For the record,
he's that dude. He really is.
For the record, you're both right. And I don't do those things either, because I am also under that league umbrella.
Yeah. Me either.
Nor for the record do I care.
Guys,
care about doing those things.
You should. But if you could, I don't. It was just like you signed this thing. Not you, Frank.
No.
Yeah, well, hey, that I can't confirm or deny that.
You know what? Let's move on.
Okay,
who knows? Do that. Okay, let's move on. Speaking of the Cowboys, and yes, Dan Quinn used to coach, obviously, Micah Parsons in Dallas, coached against him last year as well in his first year as head coach of the Commanders. How do you find pass rush now in Dallas with Micah Parsons gone? Remember, it's about stopping the run, which they did do a good job in the second, third, and fourth quarter against the Eagles, primarily when Nick Sirianni kept running Saquon right into the middle of that Cowboys D-line. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney today, well-traveled edge player, the former number 1 overall pick. Some people mistakenly refer to Jadeveon Clowney as a pass rusher. He has not been a pass rusher in years. He is more of a set-the-edge run stopper, still a productive player. But Frank, do we think that Clowney somehow magically, if he does sign, and we don't know that he's going to, Brian Schottenheimer today said we had him in, we kicked the tires, that doesn't solve their edge issue?
You too. I want you to think ahead to the year 2033, 2034. Jadeveon Clowney's going to be on a 1-year deal with some team. That's just what he's going to do for the next 15 years. This is Jadeveon Clowney.
It'll be a 1-year deal.
Always
when
a 1-year
doesn't
deal.
come to
Always.
camp. Never.
Yeah, right. He's gotten this thing figured out. I don't got to do
preseason out in
preseason.
late August. Yes.
Yeah, the Ndamukong Suh collects some checks year by year by being a mercenary. Jadeveon Clowney is still a productive player, like you said. He's not going to get 10 sacks, but yes, can set the edge just as well as anybody. Is still in the NFL, can help stop the run, which Jerry Jones put a high premium on, I guess, because he kept talking about that in the press conference, trying to justify trading Micah Parsons away. So it's a fine fit. It's just funny that we have this big name overall, first overall pick many years ago. I remember the hit he had against Michigan and the Outback Bowl and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really moving the needle for the Dallas Cowboys. It's fun because it's a big name going to the Cowboys. He's going to be a productive member of their defense, but yeah, Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career is just kind of one of those, oh yeah, that's right, he had that year with the Cowboys in 2025 type of dudes.
I think the Cowboys would be happy to take anything they can get. And I thought Matt Eberflus had a nice game plan against the Eagles in week 1. So as much as I wasn't expecting it to look that good, I will say this week, a nice remedy is a division game against the Giants. So perhaps that is one of the remedies.